Hi, folks. I am David, he, him pronouns, and this is session 2 of Hearts of Wulin, Odyssey of Jade and Stars. Following from the last session, I want to just open up with a quick round of character introductions, and maybe if you've modified your entanglements, let's go ahead and do that as well, and kind of say what your new entanglements or what your new highlighted entanglements are. So I'm going to go in character keeper order, starting with Stephen.
Yeah, hey there, I'm Steven, he, him, and I am playing Nameless Blade, she, her. Uh sworn blade of the eternal monks of Five Drop Mountain. Although something that has been causing me uncertainty recently is that I believe, I don't know, but I believe that my master six branch Chow is the one responsible for laying a curse upon Jiang's family, which is the entanglement I'm focusing on now. Because I feel like the way we left off last time, I'm probably gonna blow up Jiang's life a little bit right now.
Awesome. And I believe, Greg, you're next.
Hi, my name is Greg, pronouns he, him. I am playing Dongshan, also he, him, who is the Right Lieutenant of Blackwood Palace, a powerful sect. And my master has tasked me with keeping an eye on Cloud Crow because they are to be either the doom or savior of their sect. Unfortunately, due to some crazy events last time, I sort of skipped out on watching over Cloud Crow for a bit to chase after what Jiang was up to. So we'll see what my master thinks of that.
We sure will. And Jose, you are up next.
Hi, everybody. My name's Jose, and my pronouns are he, him, and I'm playing Jiang, also pronouns he, him. Jiang works for the Waxing, or he's part of the Waxing Crescent faction, which is an escort service, so he's a bodyguard. But right now he's kind of on a quest to try to figure out some strange supernatural occurrences that seem to be occurring around him of an unfortunate nature. He thinks he might be cursed in some way. And so he's come to the Ghost Festival to explore that and run into some old acquaintances in the form of the other players. His entanglement that's highlighted for this one session is that the leader of his faction, the master of his faction, gentleman Bao Yin, has told him that he must spy on his comrade Wu Dongshan to learn more about the unorthodox magics practiced in the Blackwood Palace. Yeah, so that's what I will be up to. I think I was up to a little bit of that last time, and I might be up to a little bit more of that this time.
Awesome. Max, how about you?
I am Max, and I am playing Cloud Crow, pronouns they and them for both of us. And I am a student, and my magic or my skill is exorcism. I'm the exorcist, and I am affiliated with the Heaven and Earth Temple. I've been sent out by my temple to explore the world and try my skills in the world. And the entanglement that I want to highlight today is that I have promised my teacher named Elder Woodhart that I will destroy the family of Jiang. And I actually really like Jiang. They're my friend, and I don't want to destroy them, and I feel protective toward them. So it's kind of a built-in inner conflict there. So we'll see what happens. And I'm just noticing there's a lot of focus on this relationship today with Jiang and the curse and people out to get you, Jose. So let's see what happens.
All right, fantastic. I can't multitask, so I'm going to just type one thing really quick here, based off of these entanglements that everyone has highlighted. Fabulous. So let's
Oh
go
yeah, there was
ahead.
also a creepy lady that was at the meeting last time that Dongshan and I were thinking about ambushing at some point.
I think
Well,
so.
Nameless Blade was thinking about it. I'm not sure that that occurred to Dongshan.
I put a picture in the character keeper for her, but I just call her Nameless Beauty, I think, or unnamed Beauty, I think, because we don't have a name for her yet.
Just out of curiosity, Dongshan,
Nice.
are you planning to ambush this mysterious person, or is this a solo operation that Nameless Blade is getting themselves into?
I'm certainly curious as to what she was doing hanging out with my evil stepbrother, so I could be drawn into that.
Fabulous. So I think that what we might do here is I want to do a quick, not even really a recap, just I want to describe where everyone kind of is, where the situation lies as of the end of the last session, and then get a sense as to what each person wants to do. If you're not really sure, I can always hard frame scenes. That's definitely doable. My understanding is that Jiang, you are in the luxurious kind of side room in the tea house that otherwise have been kind of beaten up and destroyed by the brawl that happened at the end of the last session. And there you are with Mo Feng, several imperial officers. There is the unnamed beauty, a gorgeous woman who is oddly unperturbed by the threats of violence. She just sat there sipping her tea the entire time. And Mo Feng has given you a whole lot of money. You are a much richer man now because you have stood up for him. And I believe that is where we left you at the conclusion of the last session. Now, Dongshan and Nameless Blade, I believe you folks had just left the tea house, but it was undetermined where you were going next.
Yeah, and as contrast, I have a monster's head in a cask, and I'm still bleeding from a wound to the side, but it's okay. I'm not Dongshan. I don't start crying when I get injured.
Don't let me forget about the head in the box. I keep forgetting, and I feel like that's a very relevant thing to have. Good. So we will get to you two momentarily. And Cloud Crow, I remember that you were in the general area, but not necessarily with Nameless Blade and Dongshan. You had sent your crows in to kind of get everybody out of the tea house so that there were no innocent bystanders harmed, but you weren't necessarily hanging out with them. You went your own way after there was a rather tense discussion between everyone and Sister Serpent, who I believe, if memory serves correctly, you killed in a past life, but now you're in love with them, or at least appear to be in love with them. You pine, of course, for Nameless Blade, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So then I think I want to actually start with Dongshan and Nameless Blade. Now, I can always insert and hard frame scenes, but I'll kick it over to you to start with and see if you guys have any machinations you would like to put into play at the beginning of this particular session. So, Dongshan, is there anything on your end that you really were just itching to do after we closed last time?
I do have a question. I don't remember exactly what happened with the item that Jiang was delivering. Was that handed over to the Nameless Beauty? Okay.
To Mo Feng. Yes.
To Mo Feng.
Yes, the bronze vessel with God knows what in it. That has been delivered safely into the hands of Mo Feng. But other than that, Dongshan, nothing in particular that you're really invested in doing just yet?
I don't think so. I'm very concerned about that, and maybe catching up with Jiang to find out what he knows about it too, because we haven't had a chance to talk.
Yeah, and I think that where we see Nameless Blade is like I think that she has like perched on like a rooftop overlooking the establishment and is like I imagine, because we talked about the festival, I imagine there are paper lanterns everywhere and it's moving on into the evening. It has this kind of warm glow of the lanterns mixed with the shadows of alleyways around this uh villain's establishment. And I'm wondering if I could like do a study here to see if I can set up for our ambush.
Yeah, let's go ahead and start with that. And I'll tell you right now that there is going to be a parade shortly. There is going to be a parade honoring, well, I believe it's a number of deities or something to that effect. It's kind of a classic ghost festival sort of parade. But yeah, if you'd like to go ahead and roll study, I think that would be fine.
Yeah, and I think this is let me see here. What are my elements? Caution, focus, presence. Yeah, I guess this is with Earth. Yeah, I'll roll with Earth here. Let's see how this goes.
Okay.
That's an 11.
Okay.
So I get the basic information for planning this ambush, and then I get some hold.
Certainly. So in terms of basic information, I don't want to ramble about a lot of stuff that doesn't apply. Is there any specific info that you'd like me to give?
Well, maybe I'll throw out something I was planning on spending one of my 2 hold, because I'm actually planning on like maybe spending both my hold to establish some no, yeah, I guess is there like a place that like is there like an alleyway or a rooftop that I spot like the our like ambushy moving into that I'd be able to take advantage of? Is there like some kind of like opening here that we can Dongshan and I can take advantage of?
I should say yes. That will require us to kind of cut to where the woman is actually going. Right now, she is still in the tea house. You wouldn't know where she's going exactly.
Mhm.
But I will say that you're going to be able to probably to, I mean, unless Jiang, you do something crazy here, I think you'll be able to set up an ambush. The tricky thing is most likely she is going to be with other people. She is not moving around by herself at this time.
Cool. In that case, I think that what I am going to do then is yeah, like I'm gonna reveal a detail. And I think that there is a large like kind of gate that has been made out of like straw and is decorated. And I think that Blade is perched on it with like a torch ready to like set it aflame to like separate her from her entourage.
Certainly. So I think what we will do is we will cut back as that happens. Now, Dongshan, where do you fall in this plan? Have you discussed this with Nameless Blade, or have you been told by Nameless Blade, buckle up, you're in this to win it? Or, I mean, what is your involvement in this plan, if any?
I think Nameless Blade has convinced me that she's dangerous, and I'm thinking if we take her out of the picture, then I can threaten Mo Feng a bit. So in addition to this gate that he's setting up, I also want to cast a formation, sort of a trap for her that would, after he separates her, then I'll activate that to try and bind her in place.
Yeah, and I'll well, as she comes, well, we'll see how we frame her appearance, and then I'll ask, I think, the latter question, which is my latter option, which is going to be to learn her scale.
So what I want to do then is just kind of close, just for the opening scene here, with you atop this straw gate, torch in hand. Dongshan, you are you kind of off in the shadows, kind of watching, or are you standing beneath a paper lantern, just very nondescriptly watching? Where do we leave you as we kind of close and cut over to Cloud Crow?
I think I'm in full view, kind of a little bit off to the side, maybe, or maybe ahead of them, just trying to draw Mo Feng's attention and bring his entourage through that gate so that our trap can go off.
Very well. Cloud Crow, let's go to you. What is there that you want to be doing at this time? And if not, we can always hard frame a scene on my end.
The two things that come to mind, one is that I am imagining Cloud Crow also perched up high on a rooftop, looking over and seeing Nameless Blade and wanting to offer my support. And so I imagine myself like sending a crow over to just sit next to Nameless Blade and say hello as my way of saying, hi, I'm here. I offer my services. So that is one thing. The other thing that's on my mind is that I am pretty sure that my teacher, Elder Woodhart, is going to be in this parade. And I'm going to see him. And I know that he has an agenda for me that I have been neglecting and that I am actually feeling at odds with. And so I'm feeling a little anxious about what to do. Also looking out for Jiang, trying to figure out where he's at. It's part of my sort of scanning.
Absolutely. And so I think that, I think we're going to cut back and forth between people kind of quickly here. I think the parade is going to start. And I had it in my head, Cloud Crow, I thought that, because you're such a strong musician, I thought it would make sense if your teacher, I believe they're your teacher, Elder Woodhart. Yeah, they are. I thought it would make sense if they too were a musician of a kind. Would that work for you?
Yes.
And so I thought that a good instrument that would be very kind of a good teacher sort of instrument. I thought that Elder Woodhart might be a master of the oh my goodness, I'm going to mispronounce it. I'll put it in the chat here and see if anyone can help me out. But it's essentially a Chinese zither. I'm sorry?
A qin?
A qing?
Qin.
Qing.
Qin.
Okay, well, in the okay, so it's pronounced.
Oh, a gujang. Okay. That's a different form of it.
Okay, I'm very glad we have Greg, because I would be fully lost with these pronunciations. It's called a guzhang.
Guzhang.
Guzhang with like a j. Okay.
Yep.
I thought it would be neat if he were sort of a master of the guzhang. It's kind of like a zither. It's a long plank of wood, and you pluck with many picks on your fingers to produce the music. And I imagine that Elder Woodheart is such a master of this instrument that even the softest plucks can resonate for many meters. I mean, it's almost like there's an amp on this thing, even though no such thing exists, of course. But you will hear this trademark music as Elder Woodheart plays this beautiful folk tune as he is sort of wheeled down in the middle of the parade, while there are cymbals and trumpets and flutes and all manner of other instruments crashing along as the main thoroughfare is overtaken by people in costume. Elder Woodheart will glance to you, Cloud Crow, and give you a look, making it very clear that we need to talk. It's a warm look. There's not a critical kind of demeanor about it, but it's expected that as soon as his responsibilities are fulfilled, that the two of you will have a meeting. Where do you think that the two of you would meet? You have the tea house, you have the moonlit riverside, you have maybe the forest with all the Chinese maples down inland. Where do you think would make sense for you guys to find each other after some time?
I think we would meet by the riverside.
Wonderful. That actually sets us up nicely. What I want to do then is, again, we're going to cut back and forth very quickly here. I'll go to Jiang. Now, you are going to probably, unless there's something you'd want to do, I'm just going to assume that you're going to spend the next 20 or 30 minutes with Mo Feng and the rest of his gang, drinking and talking, and he's going to get very warmed up to you, and it treats you like you guys are the best of friends now. Does that sound reasonable to you, or is there anything additional that you would want to do instead?
I just add that I think that all sounds very correct for Zhou Jiang, but I'd add that he will probably be attempting to talk up the unnamed beauty to give her some compliments about her clear level of cultivation, and try to get some kind of assessment. Maybe I could imagine him even asking her for the honor of dueling with her at some point, to be schooled in some of her techniques, because clearly her cultivation is quite. He can recognize that her cultivation is quite advanced. So I would just add that bit to it. We could play that out, or we could just leave it at that. And I'm not sure. Well, we'll have to see what happens when Mo Feng decides to exit the tea house.
Certainly. I think that as you speak with her, she has this kind of flirtatious, cocky demeanor about her. She almost treats everything you say as if you just told a rather amusing joke. And when you mentioned the possibility of dueling with her, she smiles rather wryly and she says to you, "The drawing of swords? Now what a pretentious pastime." She doesn't seem interested in dueling you, at least not in the manner you might be accustomed to. Now, there's a part of me truly that wants to almost use the impress move here. Yeah, although I mean, this is really more like you're just engaging someone specific, which is kind of more of a hearts and minds kind of thing. But then again, you're not really wanting anything from her necessarily. So,
I think I'm trying to. I think Jiang plays a longer game, and so I think he can tell that she may be quite advanced, more highly advanced than him, And if he were to duel with her in some way, he could learn something about her style and maybe put that in his pocket for later. So that's what he's trying to achieve.
Well, in that case, no, I quite like this. You might hearts and minds her here because you're asking her for a duel, and she doesn't do that.
And she doesn't do that kind of thing.
That's not her. No.
That's not her thing.
It is pretentious, really, to draw blades and make a contest of that. So maybe we can get a hearts and minds roll in an effort to get her to agree to a duel with you.
Okay, let's see. So hearts and minds, I'm just learning this. Okay, so I must choose an element. And let's see what element would be appropriate here. I think it's curiosity that's motivating him right now. So that would be under wood. So that is, I roll with a +1. Hearts and minds. Oh, it's a 10.
Fabulous. So with
on a 10.
yes, they basically just do what you want. No further commentary necessary.
That's cool.
So I think she again smiles somewhat and says, "Well, I'm so impressed that you think so highly of me. Perhaps after the business that my friend and I," she says, kind of gesturing her head to Mo Feng, "perhaps after the business that we have already signed ourselves to tonight is concluded, you and I might venture away for a bit, get a bit of alone time, shall we say?"
That would be wonderful.
It would be my pleasure. And I think Mo Feng at this time will say, "Well, we, speaking of, must be away." He will heft the bronze vessel into his hands. And he'll say, "You know, so long as you have become such good friends to us, Jiang, might you care to come with us? I have a suspicion that we may still need your services before the night is through." Oh, you were muted.
Yes, I'd be honored to accompany you, Mo Feng.
And so I think this is the part where Dongshan, Nameless Blade, and Cloud Crow, you will probably be privy to some of this as well. I think this is where the ambush might kind of occur. Because what's going to happen is Mo Feng is going to walk with the unnamed beauty and evidently Jiang, and maybe just a few of their goons. Not a whole pack of them, kind of like we just fought off last session, but 3 or 4. And they're going to make a move out of the tea house, and as it so happens, they will actually head down by the river. I think we might actually want to do a quick flashback to Cloud Crow, because you said you were going to be by the river meeting with Elder Woodheart. So maybe we should go ahead and do that. So that being the case, if I might just kind of frame the scene, I think that you have this quiet, tranquil river, wide enough that one would need some kind of watercraft to cross. You know, you couldn't really do it just by walking unless you had really harnessed your internal energies such that you can run across in a wuxia sort of way. And I think that under the bright, almost orange moonlight, the full moon kind of almost looks like a great fruit, like a tangerine being tossed around up in the cloudless sky. Stars are out, casting their glow down from the heavens. You sit with Elder Woodheart as he plays a personal tune. This is not a folk tune that everyone's heard a million times before. This is something that he wrote probably because it reminded him of you. The two of you with such a close bond together. He's sitting there playing a tune that you know very well and that no one else perhaps knows at all. And what would you like to say to Elder Woodheart in this first scene with your master?
Master Woodheart, it is so good to be with you. Thank you for the song. I carry the song with me as I travel, and it's nice to hear it from you.
It has been some time, hasn't it? He says. And it has been. I imagine that it has probably been at least a few weeks, if not a few months, since the last time you were able to sit down together. He asks you how you are doing. You know, how are you and Sister Serpent, for example? I think he'll start by asking you about your relationship with her.
Well, Master, I think we're doing just fine. She seems very happy, and we are also getting along fine with Nameless Blade. They have established a fine relationship, and things are going well.
Out of character, do you actually mean that?
No. No, I don't quite mean it, because I am so pining for Nameless Blade that I've lost interest in my actual lover. So I'm trying to make do and go with the conventions that are expected of me. But I don't think that that's, I want to impress my teacher. I don't want to disturb him, and I don't want him to think less of me. So I'm afraid to be honest with him.
He tells you, kind of plucking another note, good. Sister Serpent is a great asset to the Heaven and Earth Temple. It is good that you remain with her and she with you. I see great things in your futures. Now, having said that, I am worried about one Wulin who has come into the Heaven and Earth Temple's site. You are familiar, Cloud Crow, with the wanderer Jiang.
Yes, Master, we have become acquainted.
I fear that Jiang has struck up a friendship, perhaps something more, with a young man who I fear intends to break the barriers between realms. For what reason, I cannot say, but it has come to my attention that Jiang has fallen into the grip of a uncouth man. Song Tiang is the name.
Yes, I am familiar with him also.
Have you met him?
Yes, I have, and I am also uncomfortable with their connection. I'm worried for Jiang.
And I for the security of the realms. myself and a number of officials within Blackwood Palace are all concerned for the security of the realms in these darkened times. And I fear that Song Tiang is in opposition to that. Cloud Crow, he must be dispatched.
Dongshan must be dispatched.
Yes.
Master, is there anything more I could understand about why? Is that a study move?
Well, I think a study move is appropriate here if you're trying to kind of get a sense as to if there is some deeper meaning or hidden motive that's coming up here, or if there's just any detail you would like to insert about the situation. So if you'd like to roll study, I think that that is appropriate here.
Okay, I will.
And what element will you be rolling with?
Element, let's see. I think I'm going to roll with wood
+2.
for curiosity. Oh, the page is not working. Okay. Oh, I got a 6 plus 2 is 8.
8. Okay. So you're getting the basic information here. And I think the basic information here is that Elder Woodheart is very committed to the reparation of rifts between realms. I mean, well, not rifts, but rips between realms. There's been an increase in supernatural activity over the last several months. Someone or something is tearing asunder gates that normally would separate the realms, and all manner of ghosts, demons, and so forth are beginning to make their activity more pronounced in the mortal human realm. Now, he doesn't likely know that Song Tian is a demon, but he does know that Song Tian is up to something. He just can't really ascertain what, and at this point, the stakes are so high that we're kind of pulling a Nameless Blade here and killing first and asking questions later is, I think, the approach that you seem to be getting. But you have one hold if you would like to spend that to declare a detail or ask a further question.
I think I'll just take that information as it is for now.
Okay. You can keep that hold and always spend it later if you want to note that on your character sheet, as it were.
Where do I note that?
I don't know if there is a section for notes on the character keeper. You can just kind of put it anywhere you want. I would say perhaps maybe beneath your image or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
Is there anything else you would like to say before the ambush happens?
Oh my. Thank you, Master. I will keep an eye out on Song Tian. I will try to learn what I can so that I can do what you ask of me.
He finishes his song the moment you say those words. And it is at that time that Mo Feng, the nameless beauty, the bronze vessel, Jiang will emerge from the tea house, and they are going to make their way closer and closer down to the river, where there are a number of small boats docked, some of them small rowboats, canoes, things of that sort of nature, others larger fishing boats. Down river, everything opens up into a very large lake where much of the fishing in this town happens. And they're going to make their way down to the river. Jiang, you have been told that we're just going to go on a little boat ride, but no further information at this time. And I think, Nameless Blade, you've set things up such that when they kind of cross through this straw gate, you're going to separate the unnamed beauty from the others by way of torch. Is that correct?
Yep, that is my plan.
Okay, so since you're the one initiating this ambush, perhaps you might describe how this goes off. What do you do?
Yeah, I think that like we see Nameless Blade like standing once the crossing has happened, we see Nameless Blade like throw her torch down onto the gate. And I think that then we see if there are like maybe because there is a festival going on, so I've strung some firecrackers into it as well, so they start going off as the whole like gate like collapses downwards into a flaming like wall between this woman and the others.
Fabulous. And so I think that as this collapses, there is a popping and an explosion. Dongshan, I keep thinking that you were going to attempt some kind of maneuver to almost trap and prevent her escape. Do you have a move for that, or is that something that you can do just kind of in terms of fictional positioning? What does that look like?
I don't think I have a specific move for it. I think that would probably fall under duel.
Sure.
Once she's separated, I'll set it off and we'll see how well it works.
Certainly. And Jiang, what is your first move when bang, 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 flames bursting around you? Yeah.
Bang, 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 flames bursting around me. Jiang's training kicks in immediately. He's contracted to Mo Feng, and so his job is to keep Mo Feng safe. That punto. That's all. That is his job. So he moves in between Mo Feng and the fire, and raises his hands in a defensive posture that's characteristic of the waxing crescent, and says, "Hold, Master Mo Feng." And he's just preparing himself for an attack because he feels like he doesn't know that Nameless Blade is behind this, or Dongshan, but he has a feeling like there's something fishy about this, and so his instincts as a bodyguard kick in.
Mo Feng steadies himself, and cradling the bronze vessel in one arm, he takes his other hand and places it onto the hilt of a short sword that he has against his belt. He doesn't draw it yet. Now, Cloud Crow, there's no way that you're missing this, Jerome. Do you have a move that you would like to make here?
I think that I would like to do a comfort and support move and offer crows in support of Nameless Blade.
That might come into play here, because Nameless Blade, can you describe how you make your move on this woman?
Man, I'm just imagining that like I like see the crows and I know they're from Cloud Crow, and I just like do this leap off of the gate as it's collapsing, and like I just kind of like then do like a second, like my foot alights upon the back of one of the crows and I do a backflip off, of them to bring to cut to as I like bring my blade out of my sheath to be prepared for combat.
So you're very visible to her at this point.
Yes.
So I think that, yeah, as you come down, I think there's a rapid zoom in on your face and then a rapid zoom in on her face. And we're zooming in back and forth on everyone's faces in these extremely, these extreme close-ups. And she gets into a ready stance and sort of hides her hands within her long sleeves, such that it's just kind of this robe about her. But whatever she is concealing is not immediately present to you.
Yeah, and I'm gonna ask that other study move now. What is her scale compared to me?
It is higher.
Okay.
You will lose.
I mean, there are ways of leveling that out. That's why I brought Cannon Father Dongshan along. But yeah, I look at her and like, what about her? Like, do I realize is so like puts her above me? I guess as I'm just curious.
She seems to think that swordplay is almost beneath her. I mean, we already established that in the discussion with Jiang, but when she sees you draw your sword, she's not even paying attention to that. She's looking at you and has this just lethal intention in her eyes that has nothing to do with her ability to dodge or parry your blows.
Just to throw out there, a lot of times in this fiction, people will like sense the killing aura from people. So
right,
perhaps this one is just particularly strong.
Yeah, I return the gaze and you'll excuse me, my lady, but I have met vipers that look less murderous than you at the moment.
And I have seen field mice that look more threatening than you.
And yeah, I kind of raise my blade into the ready stance. I kind of like spread my legs apart and like raise it to kind of I guess meet her. I'm curious what Dongshan is doing during this.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a good point to set off my trap.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that look like?
All of a sudden, you see sort of a mystical pattern appear on the ground and spread out in a circle, and then from the edges of the circle, say, dozens of vines sprout out and spring towards her in order to try and bind her.
Brilliant. My thinking is that I don't think that you will be able to even scale between her and Nameless Blade, but we could treat that as a support move if you want to do that battle blade. Now, Cloud Crow, I will say at this point that, I think you're preparing to kind of send these crows along in favor of Nameless Blade. Elder Woodheart is going to look at you and he's going to kind of glance not to this woman, but to Mo Feng. And he says to you, that vessel, you must take that. So you have a choice here, whether to focus on supporting Nameless Blade, who you pine for, or whether to follow your master's orders. And if you would like to roll inner conflicts to help you decide that, you are certainly welcome to.
I mean, I do feel like the two choices are actually kind of aligned with each other. To support Nameless Blade in attacking the woman, or to take the thing from Mo Feng. Like, I feel like the woman and Mo Feng are aligned with each other. And so somehow it feels like it's getting at the same, something that's the same. Yes, I'm feeling my youth and my desire to impress and support Nameless Blade. But the weight of my teacher's request is strong, and so I think I'm going to need to make that choice.
So is this something that rises to the level of inner conflict for you?
I think it does.
All right.
Go
Go ahead and mark XP.
Oh. Okay. And then do I roll?
You roll with a non-wood element because wood is your style element.
Okay, I'm gonna roll with water.
All right, that is a +1.
Okay, so I have an 11.
Fabulous. You manage to hold steady and you get that XP basically for free. What do you do?
I will take the item from Mo Feng.
Can you describe how you advance toward Jiang?
Oh, right. Hey, buddy. Yeah, like I'm curious, where does my skill level fall in this situation? I'm gonna guess that Jiang trusts me and does not see me as a threat. And I'm going to take advantage of that in this moment. And so I kind of walk around slightly behind Jiang to where Mo Feng is. I'm assuming that he's standing near the boats.
In my mind, and Jiang, please correct me, but my understanding is you weren't that far off from the fire. You had just said to hold steady, basically. But we can move things around if needed to fit the kind of fiction that everyone has in mind.
Yeah, what I thought was that the unnamed beauty had passed through in advance of us, and then the fire had fallen, so she might be closer to the boats, to the docks, and we're behind. But that was just my thought. We could do it the other way around. She could have been trapped behind.
I like it better your way. I was thinking of it the other way, but I think yours works better.
Yeah.
Sure.
With the goons and a couple of goons and a couple of troops and Mo Feng and me and all the party goers around.
Sure.
Okay, well, I think that I'm going to pull my crows in here, my crows that were about to support Nameless Blade in getting the woman. And they're instead going to aid me in my capture of this item. And yeah, so I walk around behind you, Jiang, and so you can't really see me kind of communicating with the crows. So and some crows come over and they get more and more numerous, more and more numerous. At this point, there's like dozens of crows just flying in on the scene, creating total chaos. And they start actually pecking at Mo Feng and the woman, right? They're totally causing chaos. And two of the crows swoop in simultaneously and grab this object from Mo Feng
Mm-hmm.
and fly off with it.
Okay. Now, Zhou Jiang,
Mm-hmm.
do you take any
So
moves to
defensive.
try to stop this? Yeah.
Yeah, so I see the crows. I know Cloud Crow's signature mark.
I'm too obvious.
I shoot
All of them have like little jackets that
little
Cloud Crow
jacket to
has
say we're on
knitted for
Cloud
each of
Crow's
them.
team. Jiang is moving in circles around Mo Feng because that's the way his style works. The ward stays in the center, and the bodyguard moves around in these circles, these fluid circles, and so Jiang shoots a kind of a warning glance to Cloud Crow, and as the first bird pecks at Mo Feng, the one they're pecking at Mo Feng, Jiang is moving and striking them with his hand away. Not well, I don't know how. Yeah, striking them away without killing blows. He hasn't taken his knives out. He's just using his hands and his van braces to knock them all away. But he is not at all concerned with the item.
Can I get you to roll overcome to
Sure.
see if you are able to do that?
Yep. Let's see. An
Can't overcome my crows.
Don't peck at my ward. Manhandle the crows. Okay, and I need to choose an element. And I will choose, this is my style, so I think I'm going to choose water. Because it's the style of my my fighting style. Oh, I'm glad I chose water. 7.
Okay. So in that case, you get a complication. I think that you are able to hold them at bay, but if you want to successfully defend Mo Feng and the object, you're going to have to strike at the source, which means you would need to go after Cloud Crow personally.
I'm just, it was an overcome. Oh, there's a complication. So I'm somewhat successful at keeping the crows off of Mo Feng.
Yes, but you won't be able to hold out for long. You'll have to strike at Cloud Crow if you want to avoid both of you being overwhelmed by this murder of birds.
Murder. The murderous murder.
And if you want to roll inner conflict around this, you may, because
I'm feeling inner conflict.
There is a conflict. I mean, you and Cloud Crow are at least acquaintances, if not friends, and this is also your ward who you have agreed to protect under
contract,
yes. So
I am feeling inner conflict. Do I do that now?
I would say let's go ahead and because we are a little bit past the hour, let's have you mark experience, roll inner conflict, and then maybe we'll take 10 here, or somewhere in that ballpark. We'll come back, resolve the complete mess of a scene we have going on right now, and go from there. So what would you like to roll with for that inner conflict move once you've marked XP?
I will roll with Earth.
Okay.
Focus and presence. And what did I do with the roll? My friends are just, man, they're always causing conflicts. Oh, it's a 10.
Okay. then you hold steady. And I'm going to say let's go ahead and take a break here. Joe Jiang, if you would, during the break, figure out what you're going to do with Cloud Crow. And then I think we will actually open up with the duel between Nameless Blade and the unnamed woman.
And it'll trigger my other move, so we can do that when we come back.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. See everybody here in about 10 minutes or so. Okay, we are back, and I would like to actually maybe cut over to Nameless Blade and Dongshan here. After we've got everything set up with Joe Jiang and Cloud Crow. So Dongshan, can we start by getting a support move from you?
Sure. Which I will roll with metal. Ooh, a 12.
It's rolling remarkably well today. Goodness gracious. All right.
Let's see. So Blade
Yep.
can choose to give me a bond or clear a marked element.
I'll give you a bond for now.
Okay,
And you also get to choose one.
I will also give you a bond.
Okay, let me go over to let's see, where did I have that? Here we go. Let's add Dongshan. Sidekick. And okay, I will make my dual roll now. I think that this is like the moment where like it's the two warriors locking eyes and like every move is playing out. And then like I make my thrust forward, and let's see how I get for this roll. That's a 12. But it is someone who is superior to me, so I'm gonna lose anyway. But I get to describe it. And I mean, I know it says I don't have to mark anything, but I feel like now's a good time considering I'm gonna have to leave at soonish. I think that like what we see is Blade like lunges forward, and let me know if this is kind of okay with where you were thinking of taking it, David. But I like the idea that like this is like a good hit. Like I like skewer her, but like it's not that I don't like I wouldn't win if this were a regular human, but she's like something more than human. That like this is not something that would actually kills her. And she just like looks down like almost mockingly at the blade that is like now like thrust through her body, and she just like, I mean, I almost want to say like takes it out and like plunges it into me.
Can I like that? Can I do an edit here
Sure.
to demonstrate how she fights?
Sure, go ahead.
So I think that, yeah, I love the idea that you plunge the blade through her and it seems to do almost nothing. This could be supernatural. She could be inhuman. It is impossible to say. We don't even know whether she's actually alive or not. She could be undead for all we know and doesn't even have vital organs in the way that we think of them. But you know, I think that what happens is she looks down, and I think there is this kind of crimson streak of blood down the blade of your sword. And in one very smooth motion, with this kind of mocking smirk on her face, she sweeps one of her sleeves aside, revealing that she has a number of needles tucked beneath her fingernails. She sweeps one of them, collecting a drop of blood onto the needle, and she just flicks it into you, piercing a specific point on your body with a needle, poisoned by her own blood.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is factually a poisoning that has happened. You feel your body locking up, certain meridians and points of energy flow are blocked. And I would like you to, yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I would like you to mark your style element.
Oh, I was gonna go ahead and, is it okay if I mark my second wounded?
I think that's reasonable, but let's just say that you aren't really able to unmark it unless the poison is treated.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, because I was gonna kind of write Nameless Blade out of like a way for Nameless Blade to like disappear for a little while, because I think like I kind of like cough up blood and I say, I see what you are now, creature. I'll not make the same mistake next time. And I think with what little strength I have left, I like tumble down the bank, and we see like Nameless Blade's body being carried away by the river, maybe.
So there's the dramatic splash into the river.
Yeah.
Dongshan, what do you do?
Obviously, being a master of poisons, recognize what has happened to Nameless Blade, and I will go after them and haul them out of the river and hit their acupoints to seal off the poison as best I can.
Like to clarify, Greg, I don't know if you I'm gonna have to leave at like in a little bit. So I think if like fictionally, it's better if you don't like just pull me out of the water here, for whatever reason, unless you think that really does not make sense.
I was thinking just pulling you out, stabilizing you, and you were passed out.
Okay, sure.
At that point, you know, your lips turning blue or something.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay. So I mean, Dongshan, I think that you have a couple of ways that you can go about this. This woman may not like the idea of you jumping in to save Nameless Blade, right? I mean, are you going to have to flee the scene and then collect Nameless Blade at a later time in order to do this? Or are you going to do this knowing that she is likely to try to intercept you?
I will do it knowing she's there. So, I mean, obviously she's easily shaken off my trap and almost effortlessly poisoned Nameless Blade, but yeah, you know.
So let's go ahead and have you roll Overcome to see if you're able to just get there in the nick of time to pull Nameless Blade and set up your kind of a defensive position between yourself and well, alternatively, oh no, you don't have one of the defend people moves. That's Nameless Blade who has that. Okay. So this would just be Overcome then.
Yeah, which I will roll with fire, which is also my style element, but I think speed is the critical thing here. Well,
all right, we're just not going to roll misses on this particular session, and that's okay. So you're going to make it. I think you set up a defensive position between yourself and this woman. And I think that she briefly raises a needle and is going to, like, she's really thinking about just striking it at you, throwing it like a dart. But then she just kind of lowers it and smiles to you as if playing with her prey. We'll save you for later, she thinks to herself. And you're able to take off with Nameless Blade. I think it would be best if we go ahead and let Nameless Blade head out here, because by the looks of it, you need to head out in the chat, Stephen. So
See ya.
I'll shoot you an email shortly just to confirm that the recording is okay.
That's fine.
Oh, okay, fabulous. Then we'll just go ahead. Good. All right, well, take care, and I'll see you hopefully next week, Stephen. Take care. All right. So let's get back to Jiang and Cloud Crow here. Jiang, you had a decision to make about if you were going to strike at the head of the snake, as it were.
Oh, the eye of the crow. I did want to trigger the inner conflict triggers another move for me. That new move I have, Hero Shed No Tears, and so what it does is I can choose up to 2 witnesses to my inner conflict.
Yes.
If I made a hit on the inner conflict. So I have a few different options there. So I think of the options I have, I'd like to take +1 forward against Mo Feng, which I'll write that in my notes.
Sure.
He's impressed, and that I held it together. And I'm going to give Cloud Crow a -1 to their next inner conflict.
Oh boy. Well, the good news is Cloud Crow is more likely to get XP from missing. So in a way, you're doing them a favor.
I'm a little peeved with the crow. I think what Jiang does, he is conflicted, but he's making his choice. There is a bucket of water nearby, and as he's moving, he grabs the bucket and swings it and lets the water fly out towards Cloud Crow, imbuing it with a bunch of ki to see if he can stun her out of her stun them out of their concentration on controlling the birds. And I don't know what move this would be, if it's a PC thing or what it is exactly.
I think that's a good point. We might want to decide collaboratively if we are getting into PC versus PC duel territory, or if Cloud Crow, you would prefer to just treat this as an overcome roll. I think either one makes good sense mechanically. It's just really a matter of how you folks as players would prefer to resolve things. So Cloud Crow, do you have a preference here? If you'd like, we can basically turn this into kind of a PC versus PC duel, even though no one's necessarily drawn a blade against each other yet. Alternatively, we can resolve it in the form of an overcome roll. It's really up to you, I think, since you're the one being aggressed against here.
I'm not sure that I understand the difference. I guess in a duel, I'm active.
Well, what I'll do is I'll actually, if you don't mind, I'll explain how the PC versus PC duel move works. It's actually very different from any of the other moves in the entire game, so it's good to talk about it now. The basic idea is that with most moves in this game, frankly, most moves in PBTA games, you roll some dice, and if it's a 6-, it's a miss. 7 to 9, it's a mixed success. 10+, it's a full hit. Everything's great. PC versus PC duel is a little bit different because you don't actually roll dice when you're doing a PC versus PC duel. The way that it works is one PC challenges another PC. In this case, I think that it would be Jiang targeting Cloud Crow, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens there is the two of you enter into an out-of-character negotiation. And in this case, Jiang would say what they will give you, Cloud Crow, if you allow him to win the conflict. And he can offer any number of things out of character or fictionally or in character. This could include things like, as long as I win, I'll let you narrate everything else. That's a very common thing that people will offer. Sometimes people will offer XP. You can have some of my bonds. I'll change an entanglement so that now I'm actually opposed to this character. You basically just say, look, in terms of the story and the fiction, here's what I'm willing to do if you let me win. And that would be an offer that Jiang makes for you, Cloud Crow. At this point, you get a choice. If you accept, then you lose the duel. You mark XP for losing a duel, and you get whatever Jiang offered. If you reject the offer, both of you mark an element, and you, Cloud Crow, get to choose whether you win or draw. So it's a negotiation that occurs between people. So no dice are rolled. And it's up to you. We can either do it that way, or we can just let Jiang roll some dice for overcome, and whatever happens, happens.
I think I like the dual option, honestly, because there are definitely things I want from Jiang.
The key thing here is that Jiang gets one offer. You get to say one time, this is what I'm willing to offer. And Cloud Crow, you don't get to say, well, maybe if it was this instead of that, I would take it, because that drags things out. You basically get one chance, Jiang, to put an offer out there, and then it's just yes or no. So, Jiang, you have the floor here.
So
what are you
definitely
thinking?
Duel. Okay. Then okay, let me just take a quick look at that move again.
Yeah, no pressure.
So if you let me win, oh, and I just wanted to add one little bit to the attack, which is I think what happened was that when I put the key into the water, I made it really cold. And so if it does hit Cloud Crow, it's going to be really cold. And I think if you let me win, I would let you narrate the moment and see if this is okay, David. I would let you take the artifact, but I don't know if it's up to me whether you take the artifact or not, because Jiang's only intent is to protect his ward. He doesn't care about, he's not been contracted to protect an artifact. So yeah, so you would get XP, and you could potentially take the artifact. And can I make that offer, David, or is that up to you?
Yeah, I think that it would be fascinating if the bronze vessel just got snatched up by some crows, and you know, I wouldn't say that Mo Feng would intervene. I think that it's much cooler if Cloud Crow can just do that, at least here. So I'll say that that's on the table. So to clarify, you're saying that you're offering what exactly?
Narrate the moment, including possibly including taking the artifact, and then you would also get XP, right? Did I get that right? The XP part?
Whoever loses the duel marks XP.
Right, which would be if they agreed to this, that they would narrate the moment, get the artifact.
Oh yes, because you would be driven off. They well no, you
narrate what happens. Yeah.
Well, okay. So this is where I get mixed up. If Cloud Crow accepts your victory, okay. Well, it's interesting. Cloud Crow was never intending to attack Mo Feng in the first place. So even if Cloud Crow won, Mo Feng wouldn't. Or well, actually, were you?
No, I was trying to get the artifact, which is what my master asked me to do.
Okay.
Yeah, so it kind of feels like you're saying, well, you lose, but you win.
Well, I just don't. You guys might not actually be in
duel
opposition to each other, really, because by the sounds of it, you're only committed, Jiang, to defending Mo Feng and you're not really trying to defend the artifact, Cloud Crow is fine with that. They don't care about attacking Mo Feng. They just want the artifact.
Mhm.
So I don't know that I mean, unless you're defending the artifact, there might not be a duel here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hearing that too.
So would it be an overcome roll then? Because what Jiang's intention is to stop the crows attacking Mo Feng.
I think they would do that when they have the artifact.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, my thinking then is maybe we should just say the complication or hard choice was to drive the crows off completely. You would need to attack Cloud Crow. And you said, I'm not going to do that. That's fine. They can take the artifact as long as Mo Feng is left unharmed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Cloud Crow, I guess we're over to you. Can you describe how the crows snatch this bronze vessel from Mo Feng and where do they take it? And how do you make your exit, assuming you leave?
Well, yeah, so the crows overwhelm Mo Feng and everyone else there pretty much. And two crows in particular are able to grab with their large feet, are able to grab the object. What is the object again? It's a bronze.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like a more squat version of an urn. It's
Okay.
just sort of this bronze kind of almost like a small, very small vase kind of a thing.
Okay. So they are able to grab this vase urn and they immediately fly off upriver. And there's a crow's nest where the crows congregate that I know about that most people don't really know about. It's not a place where people go. But I know about it because it's where we hang out together. And so the crows take off and they take the urn in that direction. And as soon as that happens, the other crows disperse in a pattern that is not discernible by anybody. They want to distract from the direction that the urn crows have gone. And Cloud Crow and Zhang exchange a look. And Cloud Crow is having a lot of mixed emotions right now, because they certainly don't want to cross Zhang. They wanted to please their master, but now they are aware of what just happened to Nameless Blade. And so their heart is hurting, and they're feeling a sense of wanting revenge and wanting to save Nameless Blade and also to get revenge. And so they're actually realizing with this woman that they are going to need to do some strategizing around how to possibly exorcise her as a demon. She seems to be some kind of demon or devil, some kind of malicious spirit. And so Cloud Crow is very interested in targeting her with their flute and their powers. So Cloud Crow exchanges this glance with Zhang, and as the crows disperse and everyone's just kind of trying to regain their wits, Cloud Crow kind of fades off to kind of regroup. They fade off. They go toward the river and sit down by the water, and no one pays them any mind after that.
I'm imagining the classic backwards jump into a tree. Just as you're pulled backwards, kind of by the cable work into the top of the tree, never to be seen.
That sounds good.
Fabulous. And I think Jiang, Mo Feng is going to grip the hilt of his blade, and you see a bead of sweat roll down his brow as he tries to compose himself. He doesn't start screaming in anger, but you can tell he wants to.
My lord, are you unhurt?
I am not harmed. But the warrior who took that vessel, I must have their head. And I think he'll look over to the nameless beauty, and she just kind of turns majestically and offers kind of a wry smile as she pulls her robes a bit tighter about herself, tying them such that the rather large spot of her own blood is maybe a little bit less visible in the moonlight. Is there
And,
anything you'd like to say here, Jiang, or shall we close the scene here and cut over to Dongshan?
I think there's just a way that Jiang makes eye contact with the unnamed beauty, and raises his eyebrows, as if to say, "Don't forget our agreement." And so I'll leave it at that. I'm not responding. Well, Mo Feng has not told me to kill, but that's not part of our contract. I'm just a bodyguard.
You're a bodyguard, not
I'm
an
not
assassin.
not an assassin. So that's clear. Okay, he's clear on that. So I don't have to school him on that. Okay, I'll leave it at that.
So Dongshan, I'm thinking that maybe we will resolve the role involving the poison treatment of Nameless Blade. We might resolve that in a flashback next session, just because I hate to do that when Steven's not here.
Sure.
So, I mean, is there anything that you would like to do, or any kind of follow-ups that you would like to pursue, or would you like to maybe hard frame a scene that I can just kind of throw your way?
So Mo Feng and this woman are leaving the scene together. Is that what happens at the end of it?
That's a great point. They were going to do some rowboating, as it were. They were going down to the docks, but come to think of it, in light of this vessel having been taken, I don't think they will. I think that Mo Feng is going to, I mean, if this were inner conflict, he would flee the scene. I think he's going to flick his sleeves and storm off into the crowd, possibly to just drink himself into oblivion, having been foiled here at the last minute. So you might see that happen. The woman, I don't think she's interested in following him.
Oh, interesting. Well, with the vessel gone, I'm less interested in Mo Feng. So I think I just focus on getting Blade to somewhere that I could treat them or treat her.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing really more to do it at the town.
Yeah, you might be able to drag them to a grove. I mean, obviously there's going to be the beautiful clearing of Chinese maples with the carpet of beautiful red leaves that you can kind of rest Nameless Blade on in a gentle sort of way, with the moonlight filtering down through the trees. You could certainly do that. And I mean, the results of your rule, again, we'll save that until next time. But I mean, if you do that, we might have your master, Miao Renxing, make an appearance in the grove.
Sure.
So I think you have taken Nameless Blade's semi-conscious form to this off in the woods grove of trees. It is silent. You have only the most faint stirrings of the festival happening in the background as night falls upon the town of Ardent Maple. You are able to rest her in this gentle pile of crisp August leaves. And I think that as you are about to go about your work as a healer and as a master of countering poison, you hear the crunch of your master's footsteps, meow wrenching, as he strolls sternly into the grove. Dongshan, I see you have grown distracted.
Master, what do you mean?
Here we are, tending to a nameless, and he's gesturing to Nameless Blade's body in a rather disrespectful manner. Here we are, tending to the unconscious form of a Wulin who is of no use to us, no use to Blackwood Palace. When I have instructed you prior that Cloud Crow is our mark, is our target. What do you have to say for yourself, Dongshan?
It seemed to me that Cloud Crow was in no difficulty, but clearly, whatever it was that was delivered to Mo Feng is quite dangerous, and that woman with him. Did you see her?
Yes. She is. What can I say about her that you don't already know?
You do not recognize who she might be? I've never seen anything like her fighting with her own poisoned blood.
I've never seen her before.
Wouldn't you say that's something we need to know about?
Are you trying to perhaps hearts and minds him into getting off your case?
Yeah.
Because the way I'm reading this, it's sort of like, hey, look, there's this strange supernatural demon venom woman who just wiped the floor with Nameless Blade. Like, compared to that, like, the whole Cloud Crow thing seems pretty inconsequential, don't you think? Like, that's kind of the vibe I'm
Exactly.
getting from you. So I feel like that would be a decent hearts and minds roll to see if you're able to kind of make that argument to him in a way that is compelling. So what do you think you will roll with?
I think water, just trying to make myself look like, well, obviously you must see the wisdom inherent in the way I'm thinking.
That makes sense. It's going to be a 0.
Well, there we go. You
There's
got your
the
failure. You got your
There's the
failure.
So we have a 4. My guess is you don't want to spend 3 bonds to bump that up to a 7.
No.
Okay. So I think he looks at you with eyes like fiery black coals. And he says to you, we will watch and we will wait to see what else she can reveal about herself. But Cloud Crow, this is someone who I know, I have seen that they are important. In what way, I cannot say. But I will not have you distracted by beautiful and deadly forces, which we have no need to trifle with at this time. And I think that, it's a really kind of shameful sort of thing. I mean, this is, you're this guy's top student, and he's really kind of dressing you down here and is expressing immense disappointment with you. So let's have you mark water.
Okay.
Yeah, because that goes with uncertainty, isolation, sadness, and depression. I think those are all appropriate feelings to experience here. And
how can my master not trust me?
Basically, I think what he'll do is he'll step back and kind of fold his arms, with his sleeves hanging over everything. And he'll say to you, and yet at the same time, your arrogant mistake may still be of use to us. You may very well have saved the life of this Nameless Blade. And I sense that there is some connection between her and Cloud Crow. Dongshan, he says, you must break the bonds between them.
Yes, master. I'll do as you wish.
You have made one mistake already. I trust you will not make another. And I think there's this swish, and he disappears into the grove of trees. Is there anything you would like to do here, or shall we close the scene out there?
I'll try and track down Cloud Crow from here, but we can jump to another scene or follow that, depending on what you'd like.
We might cut over to Cloud Crow at this point,
Sure.
If that's all right. So very good. So Cloud Crow, you have the vessel. You've got the MacGuffin. Where do you go, and what do you want to do?
I really want to talk to my master, Elder Woodheart, and give it over. I don't want to, hold on to this thing. So I am. I have dispatched my crows to signal to Elder to go get him. Actually, to just get him a message and tell him where I am and ask him to come. And he has come to the crow's nest, and we're having an interaction where I'm giving him the vessel.
And I assume this is some way away from the town. It's kind of a more tranquil riverside sort of.
Yeah, it's maybe a
setting.
mile upriver or something.
So at this point, then the moon is quite high in the sky, and the festival has gone on for many hours now. It maybe isn't quite time to call it a night, but we're certainly past the halfway point. And what do you say to your master as Elder Woodheart makes his appearance?
Master, I've done as you asked. Here is the vessel that you asked me to retrieve.
I knew you would be able to do it. And he looks upon you with a sense of pride.
Thank you for your faith in me, Master.
Well, shall we have a look?
Yes.
And I think that he will offer the vessel to you, as if he asks for you to do the honors.
Okay. Whew. You want me to do this, Master? Do you know what's in here, Master?
I do not.
Oh.
But it is better in our hands than in Jiang and certainly Mo Feng's.
Better my hand in the vessel than yours. Okay, Master. I take the vessel and I put my hand inside and I feel something. It's gooey. Is there something gooey in there?
I think that there's kind of this expectation almost between the two of you that you're going to pull the lid off of this thing, and then Pandora's box is going to be open and all kinds of horrible energies are going to emerge and the world is forever doomed to 1,000 years of darkness or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I think as you open it, you will stick your hand inside, and yeah, there is this sort of gooey sort of feel to it. And then there is almost this sort of burning sensation that comes with it. And as you withdraw your hand, you can see that it is sort of covered in this almost thin, almost acidic fluid. And there is the feel of broken glass, maybe something has cut your finger or something like that. When you look inside, you see two interesting items. You see a series of vials, one of which is broken. And in the glass, there is a puddle of just almost steaming, smoking, noxious fluid. Something that upon even so much as breezing past your nostrils, you are just overcome with this sense of caustic disgust, something terribly unright, something otherworldly in its decay has been interred in these glass vials. But that is not the only thing you find in the vial or in the vessel. You also find what appears to be a traditional Chinese opera mask. The kind that you would wear in the conduction of a typical theater performance. Everyone wears various masks and each one portrays a different character, and you don't see the faces of the performers. They're all guarded by masks. And this one is an angry facial expression, a white color with darkened black rings around the eyes and lips. You would know enough about Chinese opera to know that this is clearly the mask indicative of a villain, of the bad guy, something evil. What do you think of doing or saying here?
Master, I don't have a good feeling about this. Do you know what this means?
Let me see here if there might be a move that we can engage here to kind of see what you're aware of. Let's see here. I'm thinking maybe that We might try using the... If you're asking your master, we might use the Seek Expert move here, which is on the Other Moves tab, row 7.
Uh-huh.
I think this one has some interesting potential when you kind of ask your master, Elder Woodheart, what do you know of this? Or what do you make of this? This, I mean, depending on the outcome of the roll, he could do anything from tell you all the answers you could ever want to betray you. So I think this might be an interesting time to try that move out. Is there any particular element you would like to roll with here?
Well, yeah, the strongest one. Hmm. I mean, I think honestly, while I am curious, I'm mostly feeling very cautious. And so I think I'm going to have to be honest, to roll with Earth, which gives me 0.
Okay.
Okay.
You can either keep that 6 or spend a bond to bump it to a 7.
Oh, I can't even tell what I got. It's still doing the spinning thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I see a 6.
Okay, great. Or spend a bond to take it to a 7, and taking it to a 7 would allow me to at least get an answer. Is that?
Well, on a miss, either they provide you with misleading information or they're secretly associated with or responsible for the supernatural manifestation in front of you. That's what happens if you don't spend the bond. If you do spend the bond, not only does that not happen, but you basically get to either ask one question or take the 10 plus results if you provide them with some kind of strange favor.
Yeah, okay. I will spend a bond, as you say. And do I have to spend a specific bond?
Not necessarily, as long as it makes sense in the fiction. What you're doing is you are calling upon some kind of emotional energy reserve connected to the person with whom you are spending the bond. So you have Nameless Blade. I also think the bond with Jiang might make sense here because you were on good terms with Jiang, and now you have found that he was basically carrying this around. What's wrong with him? I could see you spending a bond there to reflect that level of emotional energy that you kind of draw upon.
Okay, I'll spend that bond.
Okay, so that goes down to a 0. Very good. And having taken that roll to a 7, you basically get to choose one. You can either ask one question of Elder Heartwood, I believe their name is, Woodheart, before they drive you away, or you may take the 10 plus results, but only if you provide them with something idiosyncratic that they want, something kind of odd and offbeat.
Okay. Okay, I want to take the 10 plus, and I'm going to provide them with something, and I'm going to say, Master, I know how much you love it when I play the melody on the bone flute that allows the demons in the fallen leaves along the river to dance for just a moment. And so I would like to play that melody for you.
Two things here. One is, I think this would be a great time to make the impress move. Two, that flute melody is probably going to be the thing that draws Dongshan into the scene.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
If that sounds good to you, I'd like to have you make the impress move then.
Okay, I'll take the impress move, and I do that with an element.
Yes.
Or no? Yeah. Okay. I am going to say I'm going to do that with metal, since I'm trying to kind of calculate this situation. And so I will add a +1 and impress master. Oh, I have to refresh the page. Sorry.
That's okay.
My name is not Crowdclo.
I always make that mispronunciation whenever I say it aloud.
You know, it's funny.
Say
Okay.
it 3 times fast. Yes.
Impress. Roll. 10. Okay.
Very good. So you can choose 2 options, and you may pick one option twice. You may create a bond with someone watching, and I think that that could either be Dongshan or your master. You may clear a marked element, and or you may gain a favor from an observer, if it makes sense to do so in the fiction.
I think I would like to gain a bond with Dongshan.
Okay, and you may pick that option again, choosing Dongshan again if you so choose, or you may do other things.
Maybe I will also take a bond with my master. An elder.
You take 2 bonds, and he is soothed and pleased by the prowess that you demonstrate, this musical virtuosity that you demonstrate. He says to you, and if it's okay with everyone, I think this might be a nice thing for Dongshan to overhear. Dongshan, maybe you're lurking behind a tree or something as he says this. Is this okay with everyone? I don't want there to be eavesdropping if we'd rather not.
Yeah.
Dongshan, is that all right with you?
Sure. I mean, I don't necessarily have to be eavesdropping. Maybe I just walk in right at that moment.
Okay, so right at that moment, you could make your appearance, but I think he'll tell you 2 things. He'll say, number 1, this, he says, holding up one of the vials, this is a poison manufactured by demons. This came from another realm. A single drop of this, this would kill almost any living man. And by the looks of it, he says, gesturing to the multiple vials in the vessel, this would be enough to slaughter an entire village. Or worse. And this, he says, gesturing to the mask, something is trapped within this. I recommend you do not put it on, lest you make contact with whatever entity has been imprisoned within it. Likewise, I do not recommend you destroy the mask, lest you set loose whatever entity has been trapped within it. Again, this is something that Jiang brought into the festival at the behest of Song Chan. Remember that.
Yes, master. That's clear. Thank you.
Dongshan, is this where you make your entrance?
Sure. I think on walking into the glade, I immediately exclaim, "Dark moon poison! Where did you find that?"
Dongshan, it was in this vessel that Jiang brought to Mo Feng, that Mo Feng sought to protect.
I was right to be concerned. Turn to Elder Woodheart. Elder, my master sent me to look after Cloud Crow. We were concerned, and it seems we were right. What you found is very dangerous.
What shall we do with it?
I think Elder Woodheart imposes himself. Dongshan, this meeting does not concern you. This belongs to the, this is where I need to memorize the name of everyone's
Heaven
sect.
and Earth
The Heaven and Earth Temple.
Temple.
Yes.
Temple, yes.
There we go.
Will you take it home, Elder Woodheart? Do you need assistance?
An escort would be most appreciated, he says. At no point does he break eye contact with Dongshan during this.
I would be glad to protect you as you carried this back to your temple.
Not
trust
from you.
know,
Well, there's always Jiang, who is an escort for a living. Shall I accompany you, Master?
Yes, Cloud Crow, I mean you.
Thank you. Sometimes things get past me.
It is late. Come along. Dongshan, I trust you will report your findings to your master with his divination tricks. But know this, should you at any time seek to take, or shall I say steal, this vessel and its contents from us, your sect will find that they are repaid 3 times the harm you inflict in taking it.
I would not dare to so offend the Heaven and Earth Temple.
Good. Now, don't you have wards to place or talismans to draw?
Take care. And I'll just turn around and walk off a little ways, but not too far. I fully intend to follow them from a distance.
Cloud Crow, unless anything else happens that you would like to do, I think that you will essentially depart the festival here. And
with my master?
With your master, and I think you will return to the nearby Heaven and Earth Temple.
I think the only thing I would like to add, if I may, is that I'm aware that Dongshan is kind of creeping out on us. And I would like to just use a little bit of my skills to keep them at bay. And so I am going to actually just play a small melody on my flute periodically throughout our journey that puts up a barrier between us and Dongshan and keeps Dongshan distracted in the opposite direction of where we're going.
So you're actually trying to turn me away from following you?
Yes.
Okay.
And we all know how easily distracted you are, Dongshan.
Is that all right with you, Dongshan, or
Oh, certainly.
Okay.
Yeah. Although I am pretty single-minded about following you at this point, having received direct instructions to do that.
what we might do, I mean, if we're not sure if this works or not, I mean, I think one way we could handle it is have Dongshan roll a study move, and one of the holds could be spent, where did they go? I'm going to track them or something like that.
Okay.
Even if you're distracted. I mean, does that sound fair to everyone? I'm trying to kind of tightrope walk I'm going to do this, but I do this, so you can't. I'm trying to kind of tightrope walk this so that we resolve it in a way that's still in line with the mechanics. Is that okay with folks?
Yes.
Okay, so Dongshan, maybe we can have you roll study and go from there.
There we go.
And what element will you roll with?
Well, I would roll with water, but it's marked. So roll with earth, which is focus. That's even better, actually. Oh, still got an 8.
Would you like to keep that 8 as is?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
So study. So the basic information I'm interested in is, do they make it back to the Heaven and Earth Temple safely?
I don't see any reason to say no at this time. I think that that's okay.
And that's really all I get. So
Okay. You get one hold if you would like to spend it to just
one
learn.
hold.
So and you can spend that hold to reveal a detail. If there's nothing else you need to know, you can always just insert something into the story or fiction that is just now true. Maybe the detail is that they don't make it back without something happening. Maybe, your detail that you insert is, well, it looks like there was a fight here or something like that. And then we have to play that out at the start of the next session. It could be anything you want to do with it, if you want to reveal a detail at all.
Mostly I want to ask about Elder Woodheart. Why is he so keen on keeping me away from this stuff? Because we know poisons, he knows that.
Well, the Heaven and Earth Temple is trying to, if my notes from session 0 still hold, they're trying to reignite the gods. Perhaps he thinks there is some way the contents of this vessel could be used to do that. But that being said, it does say that they also inadvertently seem to be contributing to the breakdown between realms. So maybe Master Woodheart is not going to be very successful in that effort. But that seems to be the motive. Maybe they mean to use this evil stuff for good. And I'm sure it's going to work out great.
Oh, yeah.
like it always
Doesn't
does.
make me, it makes me trust them even more. They are arrogant and scheming now.
Does that answer the question for you?
Yeah.
Fabulous. So I want to go to Jiang here. Mo Feng has more or less gone off
Scampered off.
to just get hammered in an inn somewhere, having had some kind of scheming plot just snatched so close from his grasp, and so he has a firm death wish for Cloud Crow. I mean, the targets, the crosshairs are firmly set on Cloud Crow at this time, but he knows that you're no assassin. He's not going to ask that of you, so he is just sulking. If you'd like, we can play out the duel between yourself and this nameless beauty, or if there is anything else you'd like to do prior, we can do that as well.
I can imagine that Jiang feels conflicted about what just happened. He did feel conflicted. He acted, but he felt conflicted about what happened. But he felt like he kind of walked the tightrope there of attacking friends. So I think he's going to move away from the festivities to a quiet place on the riverside. Maybe just to try to center himself. And he figures that his lady friend will find him. I'm sure she's perfectly capable of finding him when she's ready. So I picture him next to like maybe a quiet pool that's off the side of the river, sitting on a rock, meditating. It's kind of a moonlit night, and he's just quietly there, trying to gather his get his center back because he's had some difficulties. So she could come now if that works, or I could do something else.
I think that it's up to you. I mean, unless there's some task that you would like to attend to, I think that she will make her appearance at this time.
Maybe there is one task I want to attend to before she makes her appearance, as I'm waiting. And so I imagine that on this pool there's like a fallen tree, and then that's fallen into the pool and rotted there a little bit. And I imagine Jiang getting up from his meditation and just walking along that fallen log out onto one of the very thin branches that is over the water. And so he somehow poises himself right on the end of that little branch in some miraculous way. And then he reaches down with two fingers out to the water, and kind of a luminescence appears in the water. And then he waits a moment and he's just swaying on that branch a little bit. And then a big trout arrives into the luminescence and waits right under the water. And then Jiang pulls out a brush from inside his robes, and he starts writing characters on the surface of the water in this kind of fine silvery script. And as he does that, each character he writes, the fish kind of sucks it up from below. And the characters, the first characters are Blackwood Palace, hidden spirit summoning. And then the next set of characters is Mo Feng, dangerous. I am well positioned. And then he picks up the brush and puts it away, and the fish darts off with a splash, and the luminescence dies. So he sent a message off to his master, who's been asking him to spy.
Is that how you communicate?
Yeah,
I
by
love
fish. Fish communication.
Hmm.
And at that point, as he's sitting on the edge of that branch, perhaps he's been seen by her. She would have to be very stealthy, but she might be stealthy enough to have seen him do that. But I can imagine her arriving.
And I think that she will say to you as she kind of steps lightly into the clearing, I'm not interrupting anything, am I?
No, not at all. I was expecting you, my lady. Just been meditating here in the moonlight. And he steps lightly off the branch and onto the grass of the clearing. And he bows to her. He says, "Are we ready for our dance?"
I'm pleased to know that you were thinking of me, she says. And I think that she actually is going to, I mean, this is a very pretty scene. I imagine there's this luminescent blue kind of over everything, and the water has these almost fluorescent waves in it that are not just blue, but there's almost kind of like a sea foamy green core, sort of otherworldly ambiance. It's almost like everything is sort of lit from the pond itself, like light seems to almost emerge from it. And I think that she will delicately step out onto the water, walking on it, and you see ripples with every footstep. And I think this duel is going to take place as the two of you battle, I'll put it in air quotes, on the surface of the pool.
Of the pool itself.
If
yes.
that sounds reasonable. So you'll be walking on water and jumping and all that kind of stuff as you do it. Does that sound reasonable to you?
That sounds right.
So as you sort of take your side of the pool, I think that she will just withdraw a single needle from the sleeve of her robe, and it's a rather long one. It's not like a little thing that you would throw. This is a kind of a long sort of thing. You might knit with it or something like that. It's a very long, thin needle. Maybe you might stick it in your hair to hold it up. You could do any number of things with it. And she says to you, as she just kind of examines it, sort of traces her fingertips along the point, she says, I've always thought that swordplay was most pretentious. It dances about the point, fighting back and forth, wasting time, when in truth, only a pure drop of poison, she says, dabbing it against the kind of spot of blood on her robe. Only a pure drop of poison is needed to become the most pure expression of death itself. Shall we?
He bows, and then he begins moving in circles around, and he has not drawn a weapon. And the way his style works is that he's trying to get under the guard of his opponent, and so I can imagine him trying to. It's almost like a dance, a ballet, where they're what do you call it? A passadu. I forget. Yes, thank you. My French. And then, and so I imagine, and you can chime in here at any point, David, that she's not trying to immediately kill me, even though it's clear that she is the superior cultivator or fighter. And so there are places where she doesn't allow me to get in under her guard. And sometimes she gives me a pop on the head that pushes me back. Sometimes the needle comes in and deflects off these van braces that Jiang wears around his forearms. And I don't know, is there a role that is involved in this duel? There should be a role, right? At some point?
Right. There's me, I'm just kind of thinking aloud. I think that rolling it as a duel makes good sense. There's a part of me that's almost kind of like this is almost like an impress roll, because it's
Right,
almost like
maybe
we're
that's
doing a
what it is.
form demonstration.
Right.
I think we could kind of play it either way. Would you prefer to treat it as a duel or an impress?
So what I'm going off is like a lot of times I've seen in the small amount of wuxia that I've seen, when a warrior encounters someone that's clearly above his scale or her scale, they ask to duel in order to be educated and to learn more. And so it's kind of, that's the intention that Jiang is approaching. And there's also a flirtation involved.
Well, I think then we might just go with just the standard duel move, because I mean, honestly, she might not actually be capable of being impressed by your sword play. She does. She's above it.
That could be, yeah. That could
Come
be.
to think, yeah, let's just go ahead and roll duel, and
All right.
depending on how it goes, you might humiliate yourself and end up marking an element.
Yes, it could be. We'll see how badly I do. All right, the dual move, I roll plus my style element. Okay. Well, she agreed to. I did convince her to try to teach me. Where are we here? It's an 8. So
Did you roll an 8?
Oh no, that's the previous one. Sorry.
Yes.
Oh, my bad. I don't have any dice. That was the previous one. My bad. Okay, let me fix it now. It's a 7.
Okay.
All
So you can kind of do a couple things here. I mean, you would have to spend a lot to get that up to a 10.
Right.
Now that being said, I mean, you do have your curse clock that you can tick in order to get bonuses. So you could get that up to a 10 with a combination of curse ticks and bonds if you wanted to, but otherwise.
Let me see what the difference is. If your scale is below your foes, you lose the conflict, right? I may declare how I lose, and on a 7 and 9, I mark an element of my choice.
So it's a question of whether you want to mark an element or spend some of your bonds and or curse clock.
Jiang knew he was going to lose. I would say I will just mark an element. And and I can still declare how I lose, right?
Yes. Go ahead and narrate that.
Okay, 1 second. Let me figure out what I'm going to. I'll just mark. What would be marked by this? My passion. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. My fire. Yeah, so I can imagine that over and over he attempts to get close to her. So it's kind of almost a seduction too. He's trying to get in close to her. And every time she slips away, and every time she slips away, and she makes these kind of languorous jabs with the long needle, until finally she smiles and she pins Jiang down against that tree, that fallen tree, with the needle at his throat. And he says, "I cede, my lady, to your greater prowess."
Sure, and I think she has kind of like the needle leveled at your throat and could, you know, just kill you right there in an instant if she so chose. But again, she's a mercurial thing that plays around with her prey, especially, you know, the things that she doesn't think pose threats to her, the way a cat might play with a mouse. So she will smile and tell you, you didn't do badly for a swordsman. And she sort of takes a step back. I don't believe you told me your true motive for bringing that vessel to Mo Feng, did you?
No, I did not. The rules of my order require secrecy in courier jobs of this sort.
Hmm.
I don't believe you ever told me your name, my lady.
She smiles a bit. You may call me Violet Widow.
He bows and he says, that is a lovely name, quite befitting of your station.
Is there anything else you'd like to do in this scene, Jiang? If not, I'm thinking we might just wrap things up there for the evening.
Yeah, I think that's the end. How would the scene end? I think after she says Violet Widow, I can imagine her kind of almost disappearing in the mist that's over the pool of water, as if she's just evaporated in a violet mist.
Oh, I quite like that. Oh yeah, and I mean during the we're just gonna retcon it. During the scene, there had to be all kinds of kind of like violet undertones to all the lighting in the scene because it's a motif, guys. You know, that kind of thing. Fabulous.
Yes,
right.
we'll write that backwards into
Yeah.
it. Retcon that in.
Fabulous.
All right.
Let's go ahead and wrap things up there, folks. I will stop the recording here and thank everyone for playing, and we'll hopefully see everyone again next week.